Part 9. The War of Titans. Leo's consciousness flickered, caught between the blinding light of the glowing tablet and the pitch-black void that consumed her vision. The roar of the temple filled her ears, a cacophony of whispers, screams, and something deeper, something ancient. She felt as though she were falling, her body weightless and her mind spiraling into chaos. Then, all at once, it stopped. When her vision cleared, she was on her knees before the altar, her hands clutching the edges of the stone tablet. Its symbols burned with a golden light, their radiance pulsing in time with her own hammering heartbeat. The air in the chamber was charged, crackling with energy that made her skin tingle. Around her, the others stared in stunned silence, their faces lit by the eerie glow. What's happening? Leo gasped, her voice trembling. The temple has chosen, Kaora said, her deep voice heavy with an emotion Leo couldn't place. Fear, awe, or perhaps both. You've awakened it. Leo's eyes darted to Magnar, who stood at the far end of the chamber, a look of greedy triumph on his monstrous face. The giant's massive form seemed to vibrate with excitement as he took a step closer, his glowing eyes locked on her. You've done well, little one, he rumbled, his voice echoing off the ancient walls. The power of the temple is mine now, and with it, I will reshape this world. Over my dead body, Dane growled, raising his rifle. He fired a shot, the crack of the weapon deafening in the enclosed space. The bullet struck Magnar square in the chest, but it didn't even slow him down. The giant laughed, the sound deep and guttural, as if amused by the attempt. Foolish human, Magnar sneered. Your weapons are nothing compared to what lies here. Before Dane could fire again, Magnar swung his massive arm, the force of the motion sending a shockwave across the chamber. Dane was thrown back, hitting the wall with a sickening thud. He groaned, struggling to push himself to his feet. Savara! Cade shouted, his blade flashing as he turned to the reptilian leader. You said you had a plan. Do something. Savara, who had been watching the events unfold with a smirk, finally stepped forward. Patience, fallen one, she said, her tone maddeningly calm. I'm just waiting for the right moment. The right moment is now, Cade snapped, lunging at Magnar, his blade, glowing with the strange symbols of his kind, slashed across the giant's arm, drawing dark, tar-like blood. Magnar roared in pain, swinging at Cade with his massive hand, but Cade ducked and rolled out of the way with inhuman speed. The chamber erupted into chaos. Kaora charged Magnar, her massive frame colliding with his in a clash that shook the ground beneath their feet. The two giants grappled, their roars reverberating through the temple as they exchanged savage blows. Cade darted in and out of the fray, striking whenever he saw an opening, while Dane, blood dripping from a cut on his forehead, fired shot after shot at Magnar's exposed joints. Leo remained frozen by the altar, her hands still on the tablet. The glowing symbols seemed to pulse faster now, and she could feel the energy of the temple coursing through her veins. It was overwhelming, like a dam about to burst. She could barely breathe, let alone think. Leo, Cade shouted, his voice cutting through the chaos. We need you. The tablet, use it. I don't know how, she cried, her voice cracking. I don't even know what it does. You're the key, Kaora bellowed as she wrestled with Magnar, her strength straining against his. The temple responds to you. Focus! Leo clenched her teeth, panic threatening to consume her. The whispers in her mind grew louder, their voices overlapping in a torrent of unintelligible words. She closed her eyes, trying to block them out, but the light from the tablet burned brighter, searing through her eyelids. And then, suddenly, she understood. The whispers weren't random, they were guiding her. The symbols on the tablet weren't just meaningless shapes. They were instructions, a language she had never learned but somehow knew. Her breath quickened as the realization hit her. The power of the temple wasn't just a weapon. It was alive, a force waiting to be unleashed. Leo opened her eyes, her gaze locking onto Magnar as he threw Kaora to the ground with a thunderous crash. The giant leader turned toward her, his lips curling into a cruel smile. Do it, Cade urged, his golden eyes filled with desperation. Whatever it is, do it now. Lio took a deep breath, her hands trembling as she placed them flat against the tablet. The symbols flared brighter, the light spreading outward to the walls of the chamber. The carvings on the stone began to glow, their shapes twisting and shifting as if alive. The air grew impossibly heavy, pressing down on everyone in the room. Magnar's smile faltered, his expression turning to one of confusion and then fear. "What are you doing?" he demanded, his voice booming. "Stop this!" Leo didn't respond. She couldn't. Her entire body was consumed by the energy coursing through her mind barely holding on as the temple's power surged around her. The whispers coalesced into a single voice, deep and resonant, speaking words she didn't understand but obeyed instinctively. The light from the tablet exploded outward, engulfing the chamber in a blinding flash. Leo felt herself lifted off the ground, her body weightless as the energy poured out of her. The walls of the chamber shook violently, cracks spiderwebbing across the stone. Magnar roared in fury, his massive form trembling as the light struck him. The glow seemed to burn him from the inside out, his stone-like skin cracking and crumbling. He staggered back, his eyes wide with disbelief. "No!" he bellowed, his voice filled with rage and desperation. "This power is mine!" The light grew brighter, and Magnar let out one final earth-shaking roar before his body disintegrated into ash. The chamber fell silent, the echoes of his roar fading into nothingness. Leo collapsed to the ground, the tablet slipping from her hands as the light faded. She gasped for air, her body trembling with exhaustion. Around her, the others stared in stunned silence, their faces illuminated by the faint glow of the remaining symbols on the walls. Cade was the first to move, rushing to her side and kneeling beside her. "Leo," he said, his voice filled with concern. "Are you okay?" I I think so," she said weakly, her voice barely audible. What just happened?" "You stopped him," Cade said, a hint of awe in his voice. "You destroyed Magnar." Before Leo could process his words, a slow clap echoed through the chamber. She turned her head and saw Savara standing near the entrance, her expression one of smug satisfaction. "Well done," Savara said, her tone mocking. "I have to say, I didn't think you had it in you." "What do you want, Savara?" Cade growled, rising to his feet and placing himself between her and Leo. Savara's smile widened. "Oh, don't worry, Fallen One. I'm not here to fight. I'm here to deliver a message." "What message?" Koyora asked, her voice low and wary. Savara's gaze shifted to Leo, and for the first time her smile faltered. "This isn't over," she said. "You may have stopped Magnar, but the war is far from won, and the power you've unleashed, it won't be yours for long." Before anyone could respond, Savara turned and disappeared into the shadows, her reptilian soldiers following silently behind her. As the group stands in the aftermath of the battle, Leo feels a strange warmth on her chest. She looks down and sees a faint glowing mark etched into her skin, the same symbols from the tablet. The whispers return, louder this time, and a single word echoes in her mind: "Prepare."